He's going live, yeah.
11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of my brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the line, it's your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. And we are at SHOT Show. It's the last day of SHOT Show 2019. It ended this afternoon, and it's a pretty awesome show. We could talk about that. We've got some people joining us who are at the show. We've got some invites out to people that were at the show. And well, I guess we were kind of debating if we should email people that were here. You know, being the last day and everything, I'm not sure who's all in the mindset of going live to chat about it, but hopefully we can have a bit of a debrief. We can answer questions. We try to do this as an interactive effort. So that means the people that are watching this live or watching it in the future, or listening to it in the future, be part of this conversation or this show. Take things that you hear, and talk about them in gun shop or the gun range or the gun show this weekend or wherever it is might be, or on your own projects out there. And definitely, if you're watching live, you should probably get some people that'll get alerted that the show's going live. And if you jump over from Gary's foul territory that was on earlier, then ask questions out there. We've got a couple people, 3 of us who are at SHOT. There's, like I say, links out to a couple other people that were at SHOT and are doing some other things. And might jump in. And then Gary's been paying attention to what's going on too. So we can answer questions, or we can just kind of chat and debrief a little bit. I'll introduce everybody and we'll get going. So we've got Gary jumping in from Kansas. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
Always. And like I say, you had foul territory earlier today, your Friday night show. How'd that go today?
Oh, it went really well. It started out kind of slow, but the second hour we picked up a lot of viewers, and it was a pretty good chat.
Were you guys talking about SHOT, or was it just away from that for the week?
We did talk about SHOT in the first hour. I asked them what their favorite things, what they liked about SHOT, what they didn't like, and we had some pretty good conversations about that.
Right on. Then we got Clover jumping in from upstairs, or Texas, or Vegas, however you want to look at it.
Upstairs, you make me sound like I'm God or something. Who's upstairs? Yeah, the man upstairs.
Oh, yeah, not that night. There's 2 floors, that's all.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for jumping in. And then we got that guy's wife, or female Cloverette, jumping in as well. She's still awake. This is all bogey for me.
I am still full. I will probably be full for days after that burger. But yes, that guy's wife, Miss Clover, or Minthia, whatever you want to call me. I'm good.
And we can hold claim to you ate almost as much of that hamburger as Marco ate, right?
Oh my gosh, that burger was so good.
If you take what you ate and then a little bit Clover ate, that's how much Marco ate. So you were that close to eating as much as Marco did. So
wow.
Amazing. You get 2 burger champs. So we're talking about this restaurant here has like a 1-pound burger. Cycle says he's been sick, so sorry about that. But thanks for watching. And then feeling better, and we'll keep sending out links. So what they have, like this 1-pound burger with, like, main thing is you get this loaf of bread that they put it in. That's the tough part. I mean, anybody can eat a pound of meat, right?
The way you said that, a loaf of bread. It's 2 slices of bread. It's a
huge,
bun. It's a bun. It's a top.
It's in the shape of a bun. But I mean, if you had somebody just gave you that bun, you'd go, "Oh, thanks for this loaf of bread," right? You wouldn't be like, "It's a huge bun."
It's not a Texas loaf of bread. I can tell you that.
Oh no, it's not the biggest loaf of bread I've ever seen, but it's way bigger than a. It's not like just a Big Mac where they just take a regular hamburger bun and just make it thick, I guess.
Oh
no,
no,
it's a giant thing.
It is a big burger. I mean, it's a big burger. It could a small saucer, like a small plate. It would probably overlap the sides of just a small plate.
I posted, I don't know what Marco posted. He might have also, because he takes pictures of stuff, but I posted like a time-lapse type of slideshow of Marco eating that thing yesterday. Like as the thing disappeared, you can see where it ends. But So DTP was talking about that on the gun channel side. So I guess
But I didn't put mine down. Like, I didn't sit mine down. I think once I actually got it done, because I was afraid if once I set it down, it would like all my good stuff on the inside would fall out.
Well, that's a good point. Marco put extra cheese and bacon on it, but you had like avocado and mushrooms and bacon and cheese and everything else too. So yeah, you had more stuff to deal with and more to eat. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we had good dinner, and what the hell? We were talking about. Well, we were basically scolding Joe over here for being a bad grandparent, but I was wondering, as we were talking about that, we were talking about what time kids go to sleep or whatever, and in talking about that, I was thinking, we didn't have that many. I can't even think of any stores. There might have been like 7-Elevens or something, convenience stores and maybe gas stations that were open 24/7, and not all of them. Like there might have been a couple around that were open all the time, and maybe on the highway or something. But there was no 24-hour stores back in the day, and that had to be a part of our routines, I guess, back in the day. And TV was on for a certain amount. I don't know how old they all are, but you can remember when TVs turned off. If the stations turned off at night. So now that everything's 24/7 and everything's on demand, I guess it really doesn't matter, except for school, what time kids are awake or what. If you're going to the store in the middle of the night, it doesn't matter, right?
Like I was saying before we started this show, to me it depends. It depends on what the parent's schedule is, because if you've got a 2-year-old and the parents work a different schedule or something, and you put that 2-year-old to bed at 7, 8 o'clock, by early in the morning, we're talking 5, 6 in the morning, that child's going to be wide awake. Well, what time did mom or dad go to bed? Was it midnight? Was it 1 in the morning? Well, wouldn't you want that child to be on your schedule instead of you going to bed at midnight and having to get up in 3, 4, 5, 6 hours instead of you getting to sleep the same amount of hours that they did?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
all right. Well, if Joe's horrible grandfathering wouldn't have taken us off course, we probably would have talked about the end of SHOT Show. Gary was saying
I'll show you the video. Got a camera. She's just walking around the house all by herself.
Yeah, walking around loose with a squirt gun, I guess. Everybody's asleep. The grandkids run around with a squirt gun.
So they got up because the kids already had to be at the bus by like 6 in the morning or whatever.
6 in the morning?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, so you
gotta start waking the kids up at 4? All right, well, now we're turning into like some kind of grandpa chat.
Grandpa chat.
Yeah, so we're at SHOT Show, and Gary had a show on earlier, Foul Territory, and you said that you guys were talking about best stuff they've seen at SHOT. So I want to start with there. What was your best of show?
Oh, a lot of people were talking about the Mossberg, believe it or not.
The pistol? The pistol?
Yeah.
100th anniversary?
Yeah. Had a couple people interested in that, a couple people interested in was it a Kel-Tec shotgun? I believe.
Yeah, it's a Kel-Tec single barrel shotgun. Yeah.
That got some people's interest in the Taurus TX22 did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
That's a few things. Actually, all three of those things. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense that those are popular things, so it makes sense that I guess that there's a lot of people interested in them. Personally, I wasn't interested in any of those.
Joe's saying he shot the Mossberg pistol. What'd you think of it?
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think of that Mossberg pistol? Can you hear him? You hear him?
I don't have any complaints about it.
Yes, we can hear you.
They gave me a half-empty mag, but they did that for everyone. So
were they being stingy on ammo this year?
No, I think they just had that was their thing. They were like, we're only going to give you 5 shots or whatever.
Oh, I guess they
gave me 2 or 3 different mags. He handed me mags. They only had 5 shots, 5 rounds each.
You remember the first year the Chris came out?
Yeah.
They had to be 8 or 10, I guess. And then they would give us like 5 rounds.
Yeah, they're like, here's this, and here's this giant stick mag, and then With 5 rounds.
Here's your 5 rounds. And they wouldn't let us shoot full auto because the range back then wouldn't let you shoot full auto. So we could only do 3-round bursts. It's a little small. So what else did they think was best of the show? Best of show?
A couple people talked about the Taurus TX22, and like I say, there was one shotgun they were going on and on about that.
There's a lot of shotguns. The Keltec.
I can't remember which one. I thought they said Keltec, but
something about the Keltec single barrel KSG. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Did they talk at all about, speaking of Keltec, that Keltec gun that's a 22 Magnum, I think, and it's got like a quad stack mag, and it's just I don't know what to call it. It's almost like a little sub gun, except it's not a sub gun. It's like a little.
It was the TX22 they said?
Yeah.
There's a picture of.
That's Taurus. No, I don't recall them talking about a Keltec pistol. They did mention that one revolver with the double barrels on it.
I did finally find that, and I walked over, and they were like, you know, this is like Friday right before the end of the show, and I finally found it. And the company sells nothing but shotguns, it looks like. So there's like shotguns laying all around. The reason I didn't see the damn guns is because there's 2 of them laying in between some shotguns, and the whole booth is shotguns. So then I was like, oh, those aren't like a stapler and a calculator. That's like 2 revolvers over there. So I went over and like, can I look at them? They're like, yeah. And I had to like reach across the table and get them from between the 2 of them. They didn't like push it across the table to me or anything. They like hand it to me. So I fiddled with it for a minute, and then I don't know. It was all right. Did you like it?
I didn't get to play with it.
No. Did
Probably
you like?
Because I didn't hang out in the shotgun booths.
Yeah, it was downstairs. You know where the left-handed Mini 14s are, or M14s.
Oh, I didn't see them either.
Oh, they're always there. They've been there for like 9 years.
Oh, well, then that's
where
probably
that one year they had the free deer and shit that we were eating.
Okay.
It was in that area downstairs near that food area. So Clover or Menthia, what did you guys think of that double shot revolver thing? Or have you guys already talked that one out?
I'm on board with it. I liked it.
Did they talk to you at all? Because like I say, they just gave it to me like it did. And in fact, they didn't even acknowledge I was there other than say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually talked to, there was an older gentleman there and a younger guy. There was only two there when I stopped by. And the younger one, I talked to him about it. And we talked about the trigger pull. We talked about a couple of modifications left. The two there being like a prototype, I guess, or production. What is the word, I guess, for that? Or it's like production types or something, I guess. And that he talked about a couple of revisions, a couple of things they still needed to do. On the finish was one thing, and I think there was something having to do with the trigger or the hammer or something in there that he said that they had to tweak a little bit before it actually went to production. But overall, yeah, I mean, the timing is pretty weird, I guess, because it's having to time. I guess it doesn't have to time two cylinders, right? I guess the timing is pretty much timing. Whether you're lining up one cylinder or two, but
it's got to be twice as accurate, I guess, or like, you know, it's like it's one. You're right. It's moving to one position, but it has to align two barrels with that one position. It seems like that has to be more complicated, or more like precision.
Yeah, I mean, possibly a little bit, yeah.
Well, I mean, the barrels are in one spot and the cylinders in one spot. So as long as you get one lined up, you know, the other should be lined up,
I guess,
because they're both like they're fixed.
Yeah, it's not like one of them's moving from the other.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't assume it's.
But in other words, you could have one dead on, and then something tweaked just a hair, and now the other one's a little bit lower or higher. And then I guess
but then that would
broken machine.
Yeah, it would be broken anyway.
Anyhow, yeah, and it seems solid though. I mean, like you say, it's prototype, pre-production, something like that. But I think it seemed every bit as strong as a Taurus, or that definitely seemed more solid in my hand than a Chiappa, the Rhino. Those things seem hollow to me, like they're made out of aluminum and are like hollow.
But you saw my video or whatever of the guts of them. They're hollow.
The Chiappa, all our revolvers are fairly hollow, but there's like no stainless in there, so I'm just stamped. But they didn't have the double barrel thing to shoot, right? There's no versions of it out of the range.
You still muted? No.
No, we're just not talking this. We're sick of it. Maybe we're disconnected.
Are you?
I don't know. Nobody's saying anything.
Well, I can see your little green dot going up. Get your
What's up?
I don't know. Are we still connected?
Yeah. What's up?
So, I don't know. What other, did they talk about anything else, Gary, on your show?
Not that I can recall. Let's put it that way. I didn't write everything down, but that's what sticks out in my mind.
Right on. And then there's people watching. So if anybody out there has anything, has anyone talked about how one trigger pulling 2 rounds going off is legal? Is it something? Well, it is. It's 2 triggers.
Yeah.
And they're separate, but you cannot pull one. You can only pull both. So I don't know. There's probably something about the relationship between them, I guess, that when you pull one, you're actually pulling the other, but they are separate. So,
Yeah. It's like, well, 2 trigger shotguns or whatever. Except for this one, they're machined or whatever in such a way that there's no way to pull one without pulling the other.
well, I don't know. Yeah, they're basically pinned. I tried pulling the one. You can't pull the bigger one. The little one won't. The big one won't pull unless the little one is pulled first, sort of like the Glock trigger.
Yeah.
Right. And when you pull the little one, you are pushing the big one.
Right, because it's on the same lever. Or it's hinged that way or something.
Has to be something that makes them separate. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it works kind of like it's the dingus, on a Glock in a way. But the problem is you can't. It's got the 2-finger trigger, right? So if you try to pull from the top and where the dingus is not at, it doesn't work. So you have to pull from the bottom where the dingus is at, which is basically one trigger, and then that actuates the top one that pulls at the same time. So yeah, it's kind of like they're tandem, right? They're kind of tandem triggers, more or less.
Yeah. And it makes it so there's no trigger guard, of course. When you look at the thing, it's fairly obvious. There's no real trigger guard. There's like a shroud in front, but it doesn't wrap around. So now you've got not only an exposed trigger, but an extended, like a massively extended paintball looking trigger. So it can't move without the smaller trigger being actuated. But I mean, I'm never putting that in my pocket. There's no chance of putting that in my pocket. I don't know what I'm doing for a holster for that thing. So while it might be interesting, I don't know how practical it's going to be to carry a thing with a massive trigger with basically a little set trigger or a little release trigger that allows the big trigger to move. Now, as far as pulling it with that big giant trigger, I mean, that almost seems like an application for people with arthritis or injury or issues, right? Where, hand strength or whatever is an issue. Because that thing, shit, I'd almost be afraid that the Dolphins are going to get a hold of one of them, and they don't even need thumbs for that thing. I don't know how they're going to load them. Like, that thing's...
They'd have their monkeys do it for them.
Sea monkeys. But as far as the pulling that thing was really easy, and it's such a large lever. So that part is really neat. But I don't know. What's the name of that company? I don't know if that company, I don't know of that company. It's
Standard Manufacturing?
Yeah, have they been around for a while?
That's a good question. I don't know. I can tell you this. As far as their 1911s and their single action revolvers, they're high freaking dollar, and they are very nice.
Okay, so it isn't somebody who's just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not somebody that just created a little gimmicky something, you know what I'm saying, and threw it out there. They have multiple other types of firearms.
Okay, so maybe they see that as an interesting thing to do, or
right.
They're going to be competent in building it.
Right.
I'm going to go back to that Mosin Nagant 22, little tiny one. Pink showed a picture of it the other day on his Instagram. Did anybody have a chance to go look at that thing?
I never did. No.
Right next to the Ruger booth. So like the Ruger booth was like next to the stairs or something. So this thing was just south of the Ruger, like next to the stairs.
Right across from it.
Some importer that had a bunch of other guns.
Yeah.
But were they like single barrel shotguns or something?
Yeah. And the only thing I looked at was that little Mosin.
Yeah, I walked right past all the little single barrel shotguns, which were like H&R type of guns, like just single barrel shotguns and break opens. And then this little gun. Now you're saying that they told you it was a Keystone Sporting Arms made the action?
So they said it was based on the cricket action. It was manufactured by Keystone.
Which is cricket.
Yeah. And they were going to make 1,000 of them, and they were going to be $300 to $400 each, like collector's items or whatever. Like,
so I think Pink said more. He said, I thought 4 to 6 or something, or 5 to 6.
I don't know. The guy I talked to, I mean, I'm pretty sure I understood through his accent.
Yeah, they were definitely foreign.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it was being imported. But anyway, either way, it was really neat. It's this length of a cricket, but it looked like a Mosin with the wood going all down and the barrel wraps and everything. Clover, you can talk about dinguses. He's got a permit. Let's see. If you want a Mosin, you could buy it for your kid. Yeah, exactly. Except it's really expensive. It costs almost as much as a real Mosin now.
Really? Was it really?
More than a Mosin.
What was the MSRP on it?
No, he said, well, we don't know. Pink was saying 4 to 6, and Joe was saying told him 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
So
either way, wow.
Either way, yeah. Although it's super cool. So guess who's making a project gun into some kind of cool gun out of a cricket? I don't know why I didn't think of that before. We'll make like a 1903 or something awesome out of a cricket.
Yeah.
Just take a piece of wood. You know who should be doing that? Is AK-47 shooter. You guys follow him on Instagram? He's the guy that makes the giant guns out of wood, out of pallet wood. He made like a giant Glock one time. They made a giant revolver. Made all kinds of giant.
Yeah, no, I don't follow him. I don't guess.
Oh, he's
It's
awesome.
interesting though.
He works at a like a local. I think from what I understand from his Instagram, it's like something like a local news, or maybe like a local television channel, but like TV news, either for the news specifically or like for the channel. I don't know. But he builds scenery and he does like, effects and stuff. So he's like got the skills and the inclination to work with tools, and so he makes these giant. You know what I'm talking about? The guy with the giant AK-47 and the giant block they made out of wood. They're like, I don't know, big as a couch cushion or something, or bigger than that even. Like the blocks. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, he's also got some other projects. Anyway, that guy would be the guy to make some sort of a little accurate wooden stock for a cricket. In fact, I'm going to bug him about it and see if he'll do it. All right, you guys have anything who were at the show, Armentia, Clover, that stood out? I think somebody was saying, Pink was saying he's changing his favorite gun, right? Were you out there and he was talking about that? Yeah, you guys were talking about how he was changing it to that whatever the hell revolver you guys, or not whatever lever action you guys were talking about.
Oh, yeah, that 458. Yeah, 458 lever. No, I tell you, I went down to see that because I that's the one I said last night that, I definitely needed to go check out because it was the one that was on my radar and I was excited about, and it is. I was not allowed to take pictures of the actual internals or the action, inside the action, like the bolt face and stuff. They wouldn't let me do that. And there's a reason. That's just weird, man. It is a weird design, and they had to do that to make that rebated rim cartridge work in a lever action rifle. But they also did more than that. They polished the thing up, worked on all the internals. I mean, the trigger on it is phenomenal. It's certainly not a standard Marlin GBL trigger for sure. The lever is smooth as glass, not your standard Marlin lever. So yeah, pretty cool. The price point on it, they're thinking around $3,000 MSRP, which, on its face sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about something unique that involves that type of machine work and engineering and stuff like that, and then it's built off of a Marlin GBL, and those things were running nearly $1,000 anyway, a lot of times. So then you've got the barrel, and now you get all the other stuff and the labor involved. I don't think $3,000 is. I don't think it's highway robbery for what it is. If somebody is looking for a custom rifle, which is what that is. But being down there, one of the things that caught my eye, I was really impressed with that they had was they had developed a new cartridge and it's an actual new cartridge. It's not, they took something and cut it down or necked it down or sized it up or whatever. What they're calling the 475 Bishop short magnum, and oh good lord, it's on like an AR-10 platform, and that thing is pretty bad to the bone. The brass alone on that cartridge is bigger than a whole, the whole loaded ammunition of a 458 SOCOM, and a 458 SOCOM will literally fit down into the brass case. So it's it's pretty wicked, and I mean, it's $3,000. They said roughly that's what they were thinking MSRP is on that too, but with the 475 Bishop there, you get a really nice hard case that it goes in. You get 100 rounds of ammunition. You get 100 projectiles, and you get a set of dies with it as well, which is pretty cool.
You said $3,000.
Yeah, on that one, they're saying $3,000 MSRP on that. Pretty much all the big bore rifles that they had. To get anything cheaper than that, you would have to go with like the 5.56 versions of some of the stuff they built, or maybe the 308, something like that, and you could get into a cheaper one. But yeah, the ones that created all the hype there at the booth. MSRP of $3,000 on either one of those supposedly.
Yeah, so Joe was saying, oh, for $3,000 I'd buy 50. Well, okay, whatever. So $3,000 is a bunch of money, but $3,000 to buy you a fancy revolver, depending on what you buy. It could buy you like a Derringer if you bought an old enough or a rare enough one, right? I mean, $3,000 is going to buy you
single action, a first gen or second gen, even single action army.
Buy you some amount of every gun, like, so you can always spend $3,000 on a gun, right? So the $3,000 is all I'm getting at. But when I'm thinking about something like, well, all right, but it could be a motorcycle or something. It could be a guitar. I know fucking Greg would spend $3,000 on a bass guitar in a second. He had $3,000 laying around if he came out of nowhere. So $3,000 is $3,000. But what I'm getting at is the money. You're talking about a lever action that's new and potentially going to be something that could be the first of a long line if it continued on, right? You never know with a new caliber. But I'm thinking back in the day, this was maybe like back in the olden days before video, even maybe 2009 or something. Some guy bought what we call now a mare's leg or a ranch hand or whatever. So a pistol version of a lever action. But back before Rossi or Henry or anybody made those as a regular thing, like you either had to SBR a lever action, which was very rare because people aren't going to chop up a decent lever action into one of those because this was ridiculous and no lever action person was ever going to do it, so nobody ever did it. Or you'd have to get a receiver somehow that was virgin and never turn into a rifle, and those were rare. Companies, no factories sell those. So this guy had a very rare lever action pistol back in the day. It was like $1,200. Okay, so I was going, okay, I know, and maybe it was even 15, but I'm gonna say $1,200. Now that was years ago, and then years later, Henry and Taurus and Rossi and maybe even more make lever action pistols now, and those are running what, $350, let's say. So I'm guessing, that unique custom one he had made was 4 times more than what a production level one, years later is available for. So if you're looking at it as a commodity, yeah, they paid 4 times more than you needed to. But if you're looking at it as being part of it all and like being as a consumer, like, part of the ability for them to drive on and get it to where a new cartridge or a new form factor like that is, commonplace, then you're part of it. Like you're one of those people that own, that's why collectibles gain value, right? There's only so many people that own those. Only so many of them exist. And $3,000, what's a quarter of that? $1,700 or $5. I'm not trying to do math. Half of 3,000 is 15, so $750. That's every rifle on the block is $750. So you're basically paying 4 times more than a rifle to buy a unique, brand new one. I'm thinking that's totally a solid number. That's not overpriced at all. That's just, like you said, you got to build the dang thing. And you
Yeah,
got to
if
be
you
able to
look,
all your dies and
yeah,
your
if
investments.
you look at the price of custom rifles, right? And I mean, three grand is like cheap. It really is for a custom, and I'm talking a common caliber, right? So, and with these, we're talking, innovative, out of the box, weird, different stuff. So to be within the ballpark of, a reasonably priced custom rifle of any kind. I know people that have easily spent 5 and 6 grand on a custom rifle in, let's say, 308. You know, so yeah, to spend that, I don't think it's out of, it's certainly not uh, something that I have sitting around. But I can tell you this: I mean, if I scratched a lottery ticket on the way home and won me about 10 grand, I would probably call them up and I would have that 475 Bishop at that point, because I think that could catch on.
All right. Well, that got us on a tangent, but that was Pink's choice. Did you guys see anything else throughout the show that made you change your mind from what, last night when we were talking about it? Best of show, in other words.
Trying to get some heat off there. I don't even remember what did I pick. Oh, I picked that 28 gauge semi-automatic. Did I see anything else today? Well, today I did see the same ones as Pink. Matter of fact, I'm the reason Pink got to see it because he couldn't find the booth. I had to send him the number and all. Um, so I don't know. That's a good question. Um, no, I don't think my mind has changed. I mean, I still um my 28 gauge semi-automatic is just something that's you don't see a lot of those either. And for one to come along that's within a reasonable price range for people to be able to pick up and experience what a 28 gauge has to offer, I don't know. I think there's some promise in that one as well.
We're not getting much chat on the gun channel side tonight.
One thing that, I mean, if my wife wanted to talk about it, one thing that she had an issue, I guess an issue kind of sort of with Voodoo Tactical today. I don't know if she wants to vent about that or not.
I'm laughing because after having my aha moment and realizing that I want a tactical backpack and I want the Velcro on it, and realizing the deal with the patches now. Um, I want I want a girl backpack. I want something pretty and pink. I don't want the dull, light pink. I don't want the ugly um, pink and green camo thing. Um, I don't want purple. I don't want blue. I don't want all that. I want pink. I like pink. And so I'd seen numerous places throughout the SHOT Show and didn't see what I wanted. And so finally, I just jumped on the internet and Googled pink tactical backpack. And the perfect one I want, Voodoo Tactical has it. So I look them up in the SHOT Show app to find out where they are there so that I could go and look at it because I had already seen a pricing online. But to see one there before you actually go online to buy it, is one of those things because I'm one of those that typically after I buy it online, I don't always send it back. But it's a lot of money to put into a backpack. Um, so to go down there and I realize it's the last day of SHOT, but that's beside the point. That's irrelevant. To walk into their booth and for them to have um, as many employees with that booth that had on their passes, their vendor passes and stuff, and to walk through there and so many of them, not be talking to anybody but each other. And for me to walk through their booth, and I mean actually walk through their booth, take photos of their items, take a selfie with their item, and not a single one of them speak to me, it really, it pissed me off, because I'm that person that, and then I kind of did a little rant on it, because that really pisses me off, because I go to work and I work hard for my money, and then I don't just throw money around a lot of the times. I don't just go and say, ooh, okay, $80, $120 backpack, ooh, I'll just take 2 or 3 of those. That's not me. I don't have that. So I worked hard for my money, and now I get to choose who I spend it with, which company I put it into. I may be a peon. I may be a little person. Do you know how many of us are not executives? Most of the world are not executives. We're all those average people that were consumers. We're the people that put the money in their pockets at the end of the day. We are those people. And for me to walk through, and for me to even have a media pass on, and not a single one of them people to speak to me, it pissed me off. So I got on and I did a little rant, walking through there and just ranting, and then sat down and talked to Ghost about it later, and then I did just a little 1-minute snippet and put it on Instagram and tagged them in it. And then it made me even madder, because some douchebag, I'm sure that's what he is, on the other side of a computer or a phone or whatever, jumps on and kind of chats with me a little bit, and basically tells me to go online, check out their products, look at them. So basically, you didn't even want me to come back over to your booth. You wanted me to get online and just look at it, when the whole point of the whole rant was that I got online, saw what I wanted. Y'all are there at SHOT Show. I'm the person who's wanting to spend the money in your product and to buy one of these. I'm sure you don't have that much money into that bag. Seriously. At the end of the day, it's not that much money. But I'm the one willing to pay, for that bag. And you still don't want to ask me to come back to your booth and to talk to me and to tell me about your product and tell me why I should buy your product. I'm sorry. That's some crap right there. And so Voodoo Tactical will never get a cent of my money. I'm sorry. That's just crap. So sorry about my rant, but it's ridiculous. So
You're saying that backpack costs $300?
No. It's anywhere between 60 and 120, and that totally depends on the size and where you get it.
Okay.
But that's still a lot of money. That may not be for some of you people, but I'm sorry. I mean, I'm a little bit frugal. So, but I'm still that person. It's no different than me talking about the hearing pros. Once I find something I want, that's what I want. And I'm not going to sit and, settle for something less because I pick it up and I'm like, that's really not what I want. I'll put it back. I'll do without first, as opposed to settle for something or pay that extra money for something I really don't want. So, I mean,
Right. Certainly a lot of different experiences at booths though for first year.
I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. Yeah, it's been a little all over the place this year with booths for me.
And we were talking about it last night a little bit. It wasn't on air, I don't think. Sometimes it's hard to remember when we're live and when we're not. We're having conversations like this in the parking lots and things. But like when Angie, Joe's wife, would go out with us, we weren't doing other stuff. We were just doing reviews, right? We didn't really try to network or do anything else. We were just there to get reviews.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot more going on these days than we've had experience with bringing new people on. You know, they had like tasks. Here's your task. Go do them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different experience when you're going straight into the whole thing. So let's see, Psycho's saying, I know there's basically, the shot is basically about new, innovative stuff, but was there any replicas of older models there? So SHOT is the shooting and hunting outdoor trade show. So, I mean, there's not a lot of old stuff, but there's certainly old stuff, some old stuff. So just not a ton of it. So as far as replicas, I don't know, Clover, did you see anything new as far as replicas? We were talking about that tiny Mosin Nagant that's more of like a toy. Yeah,
Well, it's probably not in the capacity of what CycleCap's thinking or anybody else. But I did have to go to the Humorex booth. Went in there and said hey to Mark. He was on the podcast a while back talking about Axion, actually Axion Optics, which is also, Humorex, Axion Optics, and Walther are all kind of under the same parent. So anyway, I went in and say hey with him, and while I was in there, got to looking around at the air guns that are in there. And man, they not only do they have that 50 caliber, air gun, which is pretty cool, but got to looking at you could call them replicas because they had anything from a Beretta 92 to a Luger to a Glock to some Colt single action armies to a Colt Python that were all air pistols and looked, I mean, at any kind of distance, looked like the real thing. Really awesome. I was thinking for, a kid to have maybe a pistol like dad's or, something like that, have an air pistol that looks like dad's or something like that would be a really cool thing. So, I guess those could be considered replicas in a way. And I just thought the variety they had, going into Walmart and Academy and stores like that, Bass Pro and stores like that carry these things. I've never seen a store that has carried the variety. I've never seen the Beretta 92 copy, for example, or the Glock copy of those air pistols. So it was really interesting to see just how many different ones that they had. And they're all, of course, licensed. That's how they are able to look just like the real thing, is because they're all licensed through those companies, of course.
And that's what it's all about. Some of them just don't want a license, or their license fees probably so exorbitant the gun would cost twice as much as the other ones, right?
Yeah, that's true. But all of these are licensed, the ones I mentioned. And there's even more. I mean, Smith & Wesson, the Smith & Wesson MMPs, and even a couple of revolvers. I can't remember what now. But yeah, all of those are completely licensed by those companies. So I mean, that's how they're able to look almost identical. And with the exception of the slide working a little differently because it's just really on the semi-autos anyway. It's just really the back portion of the slide that articulates that, or with some of the controls, not working. Obviously, they've got the controls there, but they're stationary. They don't move. Like I said, they look just like the real thing. So, that was very cool. I thought, wow, that's cool for again a kiddo to have something like maybe mom or dad carries, or a kiddo, or even a grown person to maybe have something for training, right? Could be beneficial.
Identical training gun.
Yeah, because same size, pretty close to the same weight, unloaded weight anyway, pretty close to the same weight, and all that good kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean that could be beneficial. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I mean, you could tactically train almost in your backyard, if you lived in the city.
Or you can just shoot in your basement or whatever, your garage, right? Just
that too. Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
But if you just like your guns, for some reason,
Yeah,
millimeter just like their guns, right? They like their Berettas because of the look of them or whatever, right? So if they can get a BB gun that looks the same, then that can be fun, I guess.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So downstairs, big giant room downstairs, basement, and then far south wall. So once you come in all the way against the back wall, and then not in the middle, probably if you walked in from the front doors where you smoke and everything, like walked in from the front doors, walked into the downstairs and walked all the way across to the south wall, and then you walk to the right about halfway down till you hit the end. There was the modern martini actions. Did you see those? Cycle might be interested in those because he's all about actions. And it was like a company making modern martinis and modern, about 3 different old guns new. And they weren't like replicas so much as like, and they weren't certainly tactical or anything, but maybe for hunters or cowboy action, there might be some use, but they were kind of modern-ish eyes looking. They weren't trying to make them look like clones of the old ones, at least. Did you see those? They were against the south wall.
I wasn't browsing, so I wasn't actually looking for them.
And then there was something else that was right in that area that was very similar that might be up Cycle's, or at least Cycle might have raised an eyebrow at. And I can't think of it for the life of me. It wasn't the M4, M1s. There's a whole bunch of M1 booths around this year. There were 3 of them.
Yeah. We also had the Trooper, not the Grand, the
Carbines?
Carbine.
Who, Carr?
I don't know.
Thompson and a freaking Beagle?
Somebody, they had like 12 different styles of it. The M1 carbines.
I didn't see them. Did you see a bunch of M1 carbines anywhere?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. Upstairs?
Yeah.
So it had to be Carr. Over by Caltech, south of Geisley?
Yeah,
or north of Geisley?
Cruise through Carr. I mean, I guess it could have been. But
Carr has a whole chunk of an aisle. I mean, or a whole chunk of a area. I mean, they got the whole thing. It's all the way across.
I guess they could have.
It's just that they don't normally have that big skinny chick up. They didn't have the big skinny chick up this year.
Now we're talking about M1 carbines, right?
Uh-huh.
And seeing there like a rack of those or something.
Yeah, so he's saying he's seen a bunch of flavors.
Well, Inland still makes those, right?
Oh, well, maybe Inland was there. Yeah. Downstairs, maybe?
No, I think it was upstairs.
Oh, okay. I don't know where Inland's at.
Because it seems like I've seen that back at NRA or something. And it was Inland. Well, maybe that's what it is.
No, they're out there talking about air guns on the YouTube side. We've given it some time. Pink hasn't jumped in, and Sarge hasn't jumped in. They were our 2 stragglers who got the text, and maybe it means they're busy or sleeping. I'm surprised these 2 are awake after 4 days, well, 5. What are we talking? 6 days really worth of walking. We started walking around on Sunday. From what you guys tell me, the interior chute was not quite vertical, but you certainly had some terrain to deal with. We went out to the media day, which is not only outside but super windy, which pulls all your moisture away, and then you have to walk up that freaking hill in the middle, and then however many times you walk back and forth down that. Then we have, well, Ghost says he averaged 10 miles a day. I certainly didn't average 10 miles a day. I think I might have got 20 miles in the whole show, but certainly a bunch of walking, and then you went 8, and now we're sitting here chatting. So I'm surprised they're still awake.
Yeah, we're not far away from crashing. I can tell you that.
Night Strike says interesting. What are you saying interesting about? Did you hear about the tiny Mosin Nagant, Night Strike? You know what that thing's missing and what mine don't have? Fucking bayonet. The thing didn't have a fucking bayonet.
It needs a side fold bayonet.
No, the little spike that you put on the front. Those are way cooler.
What's the other Chinese?
Yeah, get an under one, like a 38.
An SPR at that point.
Yeah, that would be cool though. Yeah, we're gonna end up making a bunch of little rifles out of crickets. That seems like the best idea I've heard in forever.
It's got kids running around, spike bayonets, little Chinese paratrooper, really M38s.
I think so, aren't they? Is that the or P-30? No, it's M38. They're still talking about air guns out there. So, what year was it? I sent Joe out one year. It's like say everybody had jobs. They're getting paid though, but they had jobs. And what year was it that was like, go do air guns? And then that's all you had to do. You had to do that for like 4 fucking days, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That was was it the year that the FP9 or whatever, the folding Glock thing was finally licensed from Magpul to be an air gun?
FMG9?
Yeah, the FMG9. Was that year?
No.
Are you sure? That was already licensed before that? Anyway, for an entire year, for an entire show, he had to walk around doing air guns because we were like, let's do air guns. And I'll tell you what, I can't imagine getting worse response on YouTube. People hated air guns. They did not want air guns from us. And it was, I don't know, halfway interesting. I don't know about the air gun industry and whatever.
Yeah. The large caliber ones. It was interesting.
And for a while there, do they do that anymore? Where are the air guns mixed in now? Because for years, until they went to Sands, air guns were like almost like separate. Like they weren't even in it until
it was
10,
way off to the side.
Or no, maybe 7 is when they started even putting air guns in, and then they stuck them like over on the side next to the clothes, and everybody would bitch and complain because they walked over there.
And then you go downstairs, you have all the Chinese companies that are making all the air guns that look.
You're talking about in Florida. It was Florida, dude, where all the air guns were in the middle in that big hallway.
Yeah, okay. And then when it came back for the first time, and it was in Sands, that first time in the Sands, it was downstairs. And I was like looking at something, I go, wow, that's pretty neat. And then I realized like they're all air guns.
Oh no, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was like,
it's a lot of where the reloading and ammo is now downstairs. So a lot of that was air guns and shit back when they Sam, I guess when they first moved it over here. But I don't know. There isn't like an area for air guns. They just must have either decided it wasn't worth spending the money to be here, or they just incorporated with boomerangs and stuff like that, or got whaled on by boomerangs maybe. All right, Knife Strike's getting mad for not talking about real guns. All right, so checking out the live or the comments over here one more time. And looks like we're not getting any more direct comments, so I'm going to cut it off. Gary, thanks for running the Foul Territory on Fridays.
Hey, you bet.
Friday show again. And then we're bringing some stuff to kind of start this show up. And again, thanks to Clover and Armethea for jumping in. And after a long week and a long day of farting around to jump in. And safe travels to everybody going home. You can't even imagine. The SHOT Show, evolves. I've been telling everybody all week that it started out with back in the day, 79, I guess. Regular pictures with film, and they would take those pictures and they would develop them, and months later they would go to a magazine, and then in like August and September, and you can go look it up. Go look at old issues of magazines. It's August, September that you would get your SHOT Show reviews. So by the time you were hearing about SHOT Show, it was about to happen again. So, what was it? One article maybe in a season. Like you didn't hear about SHOT Show all the time unless you read like SWAT or something that like had something to do with the show. Very few magazines even mentioned it. They might say like at the industry show, we heard that a new gun might be coming, or we're waiting for the industry show to show us this, but it wasn't like a thing that people knew about. It was just sort of an event that happened throughout the year. So they started covering that thing with film cameras, and then eventually it went to, the digital cameras and then video, and they started letting in internet people in addition to radio shows and all that. And anyhow, you get to live video, and then you get to the live streaming that we've got now, and you got phones that can handle it, and people are viewing on phones, and we're creating the stuff on phones. The people that are there in the booths, running the businesses and doing all the distribution and running gun shops, they all understand what phones can do, and they're aware of the the content that's being created and the interest in it and the analytics and metrics we're able to gather from all that. And they understand the value and they can go on YouTube and discover how to do all this stuff. So they're wiser and aware more than ever before of the technology, and our audiences, people that are watching this and other content, about the show or the industry, are aware of, what's available, and they demand, quality, and they would demand, interesting stuff. So everybody's, helped evolve the show to where it's at. So, we're doing these efforts to hopefully evolve the show and the industry to the next level. And part of that is just being aware and being involved. And I want to thank everybody who's watching our shows for being part of it and being aware. And I guess I started this all with, this is not going to be your typical SHOT Show where a whole bunch of reviews come up of gear. I mean, that'll happen, but there's a lot of people took a lot of videos or whatever. But the relationships and the networking that was done, I think it's going to be an exponential amount of stuff that you're going to see come out of this. You're going to see some collaborations, and you're going to see some not just interviews, but the subsequent stuff that'll happen from those interviews is going to be amazing. People that have met each other, put some stuff on fast forward. It's going to be really, really interesting. I saw so many people shaking hands and doing interviews already that are coming from different universes as far as audiences and reach. I can't even imagine. This is a really, really good show. I don't know if I've just tuned into it more this time or if it really did happen more. I know it's tough for some of you who haven't had the perspective. But man, I'm going to have to we're going to have a show with Pincus and a couple other people who've been going to SHOT for a long time, longer than I, and we'll pick their brains and we'll see if they're as excited about this show. So looking forward to what everybody's able to create, and yeah, good times. You guys want to say anything before we head out?
No, I'm good.
And mine's just thank you for everybody that's been so supportive during my first SHOT Show, my ups and downs and odd things, and just a little bit of everything with me. So it's been the good, the bad, and the ugly. So and the extremely exciting. So I've kind of hit everything. So everybody's been so extremely supportive, and I'm really appreciative of that. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing it. A lot of people are afraid to even do anything. You're doing it, and then additionally, you're sharing it with everybody. So I think that's awesome because it's fun to see and experience with you, and then hopefully you're encouraging other people to get off their ass and do the same kind of thing in their way, right? And then
Right.
win.
I hope that's true.
Let's see. With all of that said, thank everybody for being patient with us throughout the week in our intermittency. We're tackling these things and we're learning. Tulsa should be better, right? NRA should be better. Cyber gun rights policy. Hopefully, everybody will show up for that. Tulsa again, and SHOT Show again. As people continue to go to these events and our community gets larger and more people get involved and become part of the industry and we share, knowledge of these tools and skills and everything, then all this will get better and smoother. But again, thanks for your patience with the show this week. It should be back to normal next week. And again, I really look forward to some of the neat stuff that's going to be happening. It's going to be a neat year. And we'll see you Monday. That's